Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pod's Moving and Storage Studio, it's The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your life and your money. I'm Ramsey personality George Camel, joined this hour by best-selling author Christina Ellis. And we are taking your calls at 888-825-5225. You jump in, we'll talk about your life, your money, whatever is on your mind, whatever ails you. Hopefully we can help you take the right next step. Rachel joins us up first in Seattle, Washington. Rachel, welcome to the show.
Hi there.
Hey.
How are you guys today?
We are doing well. How can we help you?
I am trying to start this journey, doing baby steps and stuff, and I have some medical or some major dental work coming up, and I'm wondering if I should pay for that before I do my $1,000 emergency fund.
Well, tell us a little bit more about your situation. How much debt do you have right now?
Best that I know of right now, it's about, maybe $53,000.
And what is that made up of?
Mostly about $36,000 in student loans, and then about $4,000 in medical debt, and about about $2,000 to $3,000 in some current consumer debt, and then the rest of it's old debts that I owe to people and to things.
Okay. Speak directly into your phone, Rachel. We're having a slightly hard time hearing you.
Sorry. When I get embarrassed, I get quiet.
There's no reason to be embarrassed. You're doing so great, and we're going to guide you through this. So tell us your income.
I expect it to be about $33,000 this year.
Okay. And you're single?
Yes.
Okay.
And tell us a little bit more about the medical procedures on the horizon. You said it's some dental work. How much?
Yeah.
How much is that going to cost?
About $10,000, and it's so I had to have some dental I've had a lot of medical over the last 3 years. I didn't have medical insurance for gobs of years, and so walked in with hip issues, ended up with cancer, and that was just kind of the start of the journey over the last 3 years. And so, but one of the things is I hadn't done a lot with dental, and so I've had a number of teeth pulled, but there's some of it in order to not have more teeth pulled, and they had to reconstruct some stuff on my jaw. And so if I don't put in an implant in one place, then I'll end up with having to have some other teeth pulled. I've got a couple teeth that need work, and even with insurance, it'll be $10,000.
So $10,000 out of pocket.
Rachel, that sounds overwhelming.
So sorry, you've been going through it.
Yeah, and so.
How long have you been listening to the show?
Recently, probably the last couple months, at couple decades, decade and a half or a couple decades ago, I did FPU. I got myself all out of debt except the student loans, and then a lot of life circumstances and got off track, and
yeah.
So
you've been through it. You've been through it, and I think with you here now, you've had your I've had it moment, right? Like this all feels overwhelming. Okay, because it's going to take some radical effort and changes to get out of this mess and to also pay for the medical, but I think you're ready for it.
Yeah.
How much money do you have in the bank, Rachel?
$440 right now.
Okay, and how soon is this procedure happening?
That's so the two teeth. If I don't want to lose them and have it increase more, each of those need to be done ASAP. And I just had one of them chip another piece off, so that it needs to be done And then the other thing, I've got phase 1 is scheduled for the end of May, and then phase 2 is I have basically a year to do it. I have to heal up for about 3 to 6 months, and then within that next year.
So we don't need to come up with $10,000 up front, is what I'm hearing. We can do this in pieces and stagger it.
Yes.
So how much do we need for the next one? The ones that are urgent. How much money?
They're $1,200 a piece.
Okay, so we need $2,400 saved within the next few months. Is there a payment plan they put you on? Have you explained your situation to them?
I have, and when it comes to dental, they won't work with me, and unless I want to go more into debt, and that's.
Have you gotten a second opinion from a different dentist?
Yes.
And what'd they say?
It was same.
And they're also unwilling to work with you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Rachel, I'm wondering.
There's a number of places that'll say, well, we'll pull it, and that'll be cheaper, but then it destabilizes the mouth, and then I have it's like, the short term, but anyway.
So you've been through all this medical stuff. You've had all these challenges. How are you feeling physically now? Are you able to work out of the house? Are you able to work a full-time job?
I have to take off 1 to 2 days a week for medical.
Okay.
I am a tax preparer, so most of my income is earned right now. So other than doing the 2 dental things, I am trying not to do more medical than I have to right now, although I'm in physical therapy for a couple types of physical therapy. And, I can go down the road, but all of that to say that it is a lot, and there's a lot going on.
Well,
but
I'm looking
to wait longer is problematic too.
Yeah, I'm looking at your income, and it's pretty tight. And with this procedure coming up, I'm just trying to think through different ways you can raise some more money to be able to afford these procedures. Maybe there's, something you can sell. If you're physically able to, maybe you can get another job, work a little bit of extra. But with $33,000, I know that things have got to feel really tight, especially with the debt payments.
Yeah, and one thing I should say is that my mom allows me to live with her. There's a bunch of stuff without having to pay rent. So
okay,
if
that's
you
good.
take
Yeah, we need to lower your expenses as low as possible, increase your income as much as possible, bust it preparing those taxes so that you can create this money to pay for the medical. So we're going to put the baby steps on hold right now. Our job is to stack up as much cash as possible and take care of your health. Then we'll get to the rest of the debt. So take a pause, but go hard at creating this pile of cash to get you through this. I'm so sorry. It will get better, Rachel. We are here for you. Let us know if we can help in any other way. This is The Ramsey Show.
Look, I love real estate, and I want you to have a house, but I don't want a house to have you. That's why you need to get in touch with Churchill Mortgage to make sure you do this right. These guys are awesome. They'll help you get on a smarter mortgage plan because they're committed to doing what's right for you. That means they check in every year with free consultations to help you stay on the right plan. They show you how to save money and interest so you can build wealth faster. They walk you through the total cost of your loan so you can make the best choice. Basically, they care. That's why we call them Ramsey Trusted. You can achieve debt-free home ownership, and Churchill is here to help. Go to their site, churchillmortgage.com/Ramsey, to start your approval or get more information.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm George Campbell, joined by Christina Ellis this hour. It's a free call at 888-825-5225. Well, Christina, as I was doom scrolling on Instagram, as I tend to do, I saw this post from ESPN pop up, and here's the big headline. A record 50.4 million U.S. adults are expected to bet a combined $16 billion on this year's Super Bowl.
Whoa.
Just take that in for a second. $16 billion, 50 million Americans. That is a large percentage of the entire population. Now, at first I went, okay, that's crazy. But then I went, wait, aren't these the same people complaining that inflation is too high and there's not enough money at the end of the month and they're living paycheck to paycheck? And so that was my post. My reaction was, Americans, inflation is killing us. We're living paycheck to paycheck out here. Also, Americans, oh yeah, bro, I got $500 on the Chiefs. Make it make sense. That's all I'm asking. This just boggles my mind that people are willing to spend their hard-earned money and just throw it away at a sports casino for fun. So here's the juxtaposition. Yahoo Finance said that half of Americans say their personal financial situations are worse now than they were a year ago, which is more than any time since the Great Depression. And Fox Business said amid high inflation and rising interest rates, credit card balances have now increased to $931 billion in the final quarter of 2022. This is insane. The number of new credit cards opened have spiked $21.6 million in the third quarter. I mean, the levels of debt with the levels of sports betting tell me that bad things are happening out there.
Yeah, that's very concerning. It makes me wonder, is it kind of like the lipstick for men? You know how like what they say whenever there's a recession, like women buy more lipstick?
Is that
men
a thing?
Like sports bet more?
I guess that's what they do to quell all of the anxiety, is they just turn to sports and then they go, well, my friends are betting. It's now normal to bet on sports. There's 1,000 apps. And yeah, okay, let's see if Mahomes gets the touchdown in the third quarter. It just doesn't make sense.
That's wild. I thought it was more of a niche. I thought it was like, sports betting. There's probably 2 or 3% of people, but 50 million people?
Every year it's become legal in more and more states. I think it's like 33 states now allow sports betting. And here's the thing. They are seeing record profits. It's like the new crypto because it feels not as dumb as crypto because it's something that you enjoy, that you know a lot about. But these bookies that are behind the scenes, they are going to win. The house always wins. This is just like Vegas, except you get to do this from the comfort of your freaking couch.
And it's wild, too, because we've seen so many studies and stats on kids and teenagers getting into this, where it's like young kids, I don't think they're really supposed to, but it's becoming a huge thing in high schools where we're worried about kids doing sports betting, which that just blows my mind.
Well, and the bankroll you need to even make any amount of money in this is insane. You would need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to see any meaningful return. But what happens is you throw $50, you lose it. You put another $50 in, you might win it back. And so there's an addiction happening, especially with these young people. It's like the gateway drug to gambling addiction. And here's what's crazy. The number of expected Super Bowl bettors is up 61% from last year's survey. And our State of Personal Finance study found that in the last 3 months, 14% of people said they had placed a legal sports bet. It begs the question, how many placed illegal sports bets? We just don't know. No one's going to admit that. But 36% said they lost money in 2022 sports betting, and that's equivalent to 5% of the population having lost money on this.
George, what would you say? That just hurts my head a little bit thinking through all the people who are struggling with their finances and all the people who feel like they're drowning in credit card debt, but they're still betting. What would you say to snap people out of that?
Well, number one, if you are really struggling, like truly struggling. Now, I'm hoping and praying that the people that are sports betting are out of debt with a fully funded emergency fund and they're investing 15%, and this is just fun money they're okay blowing. If that's you, I am happy for you. The record indicates that is not the case. And so if this is you and you're going, this is my last ditch effort, let me at least have some fun. I'm broke. Might as well at least have some fun.
YOLO.
You're only going to get broker. And so we need to stop the bleeding and go anywhere there's money leaks, we need to stop. There are better ways to be entertained and blow $50 than on the big game and on the squares. And it's just gotten out of control. And so just say no, go to the party, bring a dip. It costs you $5 and enjoy the Super Bowl that way. But do not play in this sports casino. You will lose. The house always wins, and there's a reason why Vegas is doing so well and America is so broke.
It's a good word, George.
Oh, my goodness. And we've covered, sports betting on multiple areas, multiple shows. Rachel Cruz show, we did a thing on sports betting. If you want to see me in a Brady jersey, you can check that out. Hopefully he's retired for the last time. We just don't know. We don't
TBD, to be determined.
Oh, well, I enjoy the big game, do it on a budget, and don't be stupid. Hope that hits.
Yeah,
all right,
that's a word.
Let's get to the phones. Charles is in my hometown there in Massachusetts. Charles, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hi, it's an honor to speak to you too.
You as well. How can we help?
Okay. I've screwed up my life. I know that, and I don't see any way out of it. I don't know how to even start or what way to go. But my student loans are $150,000, and they're not coming down. And my house mortgage is $120,000. And so, since my house is less than my student loans, when you do the debt snowball, do I pay off the house first and then the loans? But either way, it's going to be years before I can even come close to paying off anything. And then how do you do something like that? I got kids at home. How do you do something like that and not find yourself singing Cats in the Cradle in a few years?
Well, Charles, who told you that your life is over?
Well, it's like I can try. I don't see any way of paying this off,
What's your income?
It's at least.
Let's put some facts on paper.
Okay, I take home. My household income is maybe $45,000 to $50,000, depending on if I can get overtime, and that's the most I've ever made in my life.
Okay. What do you do for a living?
I don't do. Right now, I'm a mechanic at a amusement park out here. And
okay.
I was lucky that they gave me that job.
What's your degree in? You said you have $150 in student loans.
Yeah, I have a degree in elementary education and master's in school administration.
Okay, and how old are you?
And I'm 48. My wife's 53, and she's not able to work or drive or anything.
Does she have any disability income?
Yeah, she has a disability, but she gets about $100 a month in Social Security. That's all she was able to get. But my other daughter who lives with us is disabled, and she gets about $800 a month, so that's what's saving us, basically.
Well, Charles, you've called the right place. We like calls like this because we have seen thousands of people in situations like yours with six figures in debt get completely debt-free. So, first of all, your life is not over. You have not screwed up so bad that you can't come back from this. You absolutely can. We actually have a personality that joined recently who paid over $400,000 in debt off. And we've seen that multiple times. So I just want to encourage you that you are in the right spot. And if you're willing to fight for it, you can get out of this. And also just with the student loans, you said that it's $150 and it's not going to come down. I believe it's going to come down pretty quick. You're educated. I think your income potential is pretty high. Right now you're at 45 and 50, and I think we can really bump that up. But yeah, I think first just getting out of the mindset that this is too desperate of a situation to get out of. How does that feel to you? Do you feel like you can do this?
I think I can. It's just that when I look at the numbers, it would be like if I paid like $1,300 in my student loans, even that would take 30 years. If I pay $1,200, which is what my mortgage is, that's 30 years, and so I can pay $1,500 on my mortgage and be done in 15 years. So I was planning on doing that, but then it's like you have to work, gazelle speed and all that. But if you do that, it's like you become a workaholic, and then your kids are like, where were we? You paid off all your money.
The gazelle intensity is meant for a few years. It's not meant for decades at a time. And so, number one, we're going to send you Financial Peace University as well as Every Dollar. That's our proven plan, 9 lessons, the budget, the full kit and caboodle. Go through that. But I would not pay off the mortgage before the student loans. You can't bankrupt on the student loans. You can get rid of a mortgage by selling your house one day. You can't get rid of Sally Mae. And so I'm attacking that first. Save the house for baby step 6.
And let's send him from paycheck to purpose, because I think you need a bigger shovel. Let's get that income up so you can pay this off quicker.
If you're like most people, your home is your most valuable asset. And when you want to make improvements, it can feel like everything costs too much or takes too long. But something as simple as custom window coverings from Blinds.com can completely change your space and add value to your home. We've recommended Blinds.com for over a decade, so you know you can trust them. From blinds, drapes, and shutters to motorized shades, they make it easy and affordable to upgrade your entire home, and their team is ready to help with everything from design consultation to measuring and installation. Plus, there are never any misleading quotes or hidden fees. Everything's backed by their 100% satisfaction guarantee, and shipping is always free. See why Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Visit Blinds.com to save up to 45% off everything site-wide. Go to Blinds.com now to learn more.
This is The Ramsey Show. I'm George Camel, joined by Christina Ellis this hour. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Let's go to the phones. Tom joins us in Sacramento. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thank you, George and Christina. I've just got a question. We're in our late 60s. We were behind in our retirement savings. We only have about $100,000 in deferred comp and retirement accounts, and wondering if it makes sense to take advantage of the catch-up provisions in my deferred comp to exceed the 15% for the next 3 years before retirement, at the expense of maybe not paying off the house quite before we get to retirement.
So if you, let's say you invested 15% and then did everything else onto the mortgage, would you pay that off by retirement?
It'd be pretty close.
Okay, so it's kind of a either way. You're looking at the same numbers.
How much do you have left on the house?
About 100.
And you said you have 100 total across all retirement accounts?
Currently, yes.
What's your income right now?
About 180.
Awesome. Are you both working?
Yes.
Okay. And how long do you see yourselves working for? You said you're in your late 60s. Do you see this going as long as it takes?
2 or 3 more years.
Okay.
And I should say that we're committed to selling the house when we retire. So.
And downsizing.
Yeah.
How much
is the
is
house worth?
Too big a house for us in retirement.
Yeah. How much is the house worth?
Oh, probably close to $500,000. I'm in California.
Okay.
And then outside of your 15%, how much do you have extra to either throw at the mortgage or at retirement?
Probably another 10%.
Okay.
Would you be able to hit all of the contribution limits for the catch-up if you did that?
Yes, my contribution limit for deferred comp is $45,000, and I could hit that.
So when you move from the $500,000 house, where do you plan on going after that as you downsize? Are you going to stay in the same town? What's that move going to look like?
No, we plan to move near our children, and they're in a lower cost state. So there'd be a sizable amount of equity left over.
So the goal would be to pay cash for something really reasonable when you guys sell.
Oh, definitely.
Okay. Because even investing this money and doing the catch-up contributions, it's not going to create, $1 million in the next few years. And so either way, it's not going to move the needle significantly. But if I'm in your shoes, I probably would focus on those catch-up contributions for now, since you're going to sell the house as soon as you guys retire. And so you're not going to have a fixed expense of the mortgage either way, long-term in retirement.
All right. Okay. Well, that's how we had been viewing it, but we've been listening, and it seems like the the catch-up isn't quite as important for some, but we wanted to get some input on it. Appreciate that.
Yeah. And let me ask you this. Are you guys working with a financial advisor right now?
Yes.
Okay. And what is their take on your situation?
That there's no wrong decision in this regard, that, it's two good choices, but leaning towards maximizing the deferred comp because of the tax benefit it saves us about $6,000 a year in state and federal taxes.
Well, it sounds like it would give you guys a little hope for some dignity in retirement as well.
Well, between our pensions and other things, we're going to be fine in cash flow there, but just want to make the best decision possible.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for the call, Tom. Appreciate it. That's a tough situation when you wake up and go, we didn't do a good enough job saving, and we have to really cram all of this in within a few years. The good news is you have a fantastic income, making 180. If you can live off a very small portion of that and throw the rest at the mortgage and into retirement for the next few years, that'll put you in much better shape. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, there's a beauty in kind of having that slightly shorter timeline of like, if you can see that end goal of we're moving in 2 to 3 years, it's like, let's just go all in and be super intense in this season, work as hard as we can to catch up. And then in 3 years, we're going to have this beautiful retirement situation. But I'm proud of y'all for really leaning in right now and going, okay, we're going to go. We're going to go intense.
Yes. I'm proud of you for not burying your head in the sand and going, well, we'll just figure it out when we get there. We're just going to keep on living how we've been living. Love it. All right, let's go to Courtney in Canton, Ohio. Courtney, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. How are you guys doing?
Doing so good. How can we help?
So I've been wanting to start the baby steps for quite some time now. And honestly, the only thing that's been keeping me from doing that is my partner. It hasn't been the same partner the whole time. But now the boyfriend that I have, we live together, and I've been trying to get him on board with the baby steps. I think we have just a few episodes left of FPU to watch, but he doesn't really seem to be very motivated to do anything about it.
How's he doing financially?
He has a steady income. I think he has a $1,000 savings. I haven't actually seen it, so I don't know. But
does this boyfriend seem like long-term potential?
What's that?
Does this boyfriend seem like long-term potential?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. You said it was a different partner when you started. What happened with that situation? Was it the money that ended that relationship, or how did that transition happen?
No, that ended due to him getting kind of controlling, and I said I wasn't going to do it. So I left.
How old are you two?
I am 26. He is 32.
Okay. And you're saying you're over halfway through FPU and he hasn't really changed his tune. He's just kind of like going through the motions to appease you at this point?
Pretty much.
What do these conversations look like when you kind of challenge him and you're like, hey, I really want to go all in? What's his response?
He says, yeah, let's do it. And then when we go to have like a budget meeting or like a dream meeting or anything of the sort, he doesn't. Anything that I ask him further than that is, I don't know.
Now, you guys haven't combined any finances, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I would continue on the baby steps on your own, and I think the long-term play is having the hard conversations going, I'm not breaking up with you because of FPU, but if we don't align on really foundational money values, I don't see this going anywhere. Because it doesn't sound like he has a lot of vision for his life, truthfully.
Yeah.
And that, to me, scares me more than any kind of financial situation. Because you sound like you've got goals in life. You have a vision for your life. You want to be somewhere 5 years from now, 10 years from now that you're not right now. And he's fine just coasting along.
Yes.
That's what worries me. So I'm not telling you to make any decisions here, but I think you need to light a little fire and go, this is more serious than you think. I'm not just doing this to go, hey, will you go through FPU with me? I want to know, are you on board for having a vision for your life and for our life together? Because if he doesn't have a vision for his life, he ain't got one for you all's. You understand?
Yeah.
Well, and that's the beautiful part about dating is you're not tied to him long term. We talk to a lot of spouses who are having these conversations where the wife is like, I can't get my husband on board, and she's frustrated. And that's a different conversation than when you're just dating. I mean, that's part of dating, is figuring out, what's their motivation level? What's the future going to look like with this person? Because if this is already happening now in your dating relationship, then it's probably not going to get better in marriage. So
not going to get better when you combine the finances, and now he's got a whole nother opinion about what to do with our money.
Yeah.
But I do love the idea of you going ahead and setting the example, because you are dating and it is your money and you shouldn't combine finances yet. So go ahead and lead the charge, and hopefully it'll motivate him. But if not, I mean, that's a pretty significant sign.
Yeah, you be your own gazelle and you be the thoroughbred, and if the donkey can't keep up, that's on him. You know what I mean? And so you got to live your life. Don't wait on no man to get ahead financially and achieve your goals. And on the way, you might meet someone else that does have those values. And I'm not saying he's not the one. Maybe he changes his tune. I hope he's listening to this going, dang, Courtney's a special girl. I got to get my game together because I'm about to ruin this thing. So best of luck to you, Courtney. Thanks for going through Financial Peace University. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. Appreciate you all listening. If you're a new listener with us and you want a deeper dive into the Ramsey baby steps and all the stuff we talk about on the show, you just want some direction because you're new around here, you can go to RamseySolutions.com and click on the Get Started button. We're going to help you figure out the best next step for your financial journey based on exactly where you are today. You just answer a few simple questions and we'll help you. That's RamseySolutions.com. Click on Get Started. Well, with debt payments and now inflation stealing more and more of your paycheck, we know a lot of you feel like you're drowning and you're scared to death that you won't have enough to take care of your family. But you shouldn't have to live with that kind of stress. And if you want things to change, you have to have your I've had it moment and decide to try some new things with your money. And that means it's time to try Financial Peace University. This is our 9-lesson course that will teach you how to beat debt and build wealth. It's everything you wish you learned about how to handle money that they didn't teach you at school. Nearly 10 million people have now taken FPU, and they'll tell you they don't worry about money like they used to. They are in control, and you can be too. So decide that you are done stressing about money and take control. Start Financial Peace University today at RamseySolutions.com/FPU. That's RamseySolutions.com/FPU. Andrew joins us up next in Rockford, Illinois. Andrew, welcome to the show. Are you with us, Andrew?
Hello?
Hey, there you are.
I'm here.
What's going on?
Well, me and my wife, we're about 40 and 41 years old, and we're driving by a local community college today. And we have our kids' ESAs are going to be about $40,000 and $50,000 for each of them when they graduate high school. And we're paying $1,400 to $1,500 a month for our house, so it'll be paid off at almost exactly that same time when they graduate.
Awesome.
Nice.
And we have also $200,000 in our retirement accounts right now. And we were wondering what we should do with those ESAs if they go to the community colleges and live at home to go to a nearby in-state university.
Okay. Do you know what it's going to cost for the community colleges?
The community college, we were looking it up as we were driving by, and it's for anything, if they live at home, which would cost way more than the tuitions. Right now, they would cost for each of them, it would be less than $10,000 a year.
Okay,
that's great.
So you're on track to have it paid for based on the current rates. When are they going to community college? When would that be?
That would be my daughter, who's 11. That would be around 2030.
Okay, so we've got plenty of time here, which means we don't know what it's going to cost.
Well, and there's also the possibility that they're going to go to community college, then want to transfer to a 4-year school.
That's what we're thinking they probably will want to do. We'll go 2 and 2.
Yeah, and then in that case, then $40,000 and $50,000 could be used up pretty quickly with the current rates for four-year institutions. Plus, even beyond that, they may want to get additional education, get a master's degree, get a certification.
And they'll have other expenses like books and laptops. There's tons of qualified expenses you can use that money for as well.
Yeah.
Not to mention further education, like a master's degree, further schooling, different courses, depending on what they actually end up doing with their career.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean,
so then we would have enough. Do you think the additional like $1,400 to $1,500 a month would be enough to like pay for that additional stuff?
To cash flow college? Is that what you're asking?
The cash flow after using up the ESA.
Because you'd have no mortgage, you're saying?
We would by the time my daughter gets into college, we would have no more mortgage left over.
And so if there was any extra money you needed, you could cash flow that because you don't have a mortgage payment. And that's a great goal to have. Say, hey, we want the mortgage paid off by the time these kids go to college so that we can continue to help. And by the way, they can still work part-time. They can still get scholarships, and you can withdraw funds from the ESA against those scholarships with no penalty.
Well, and if anything, I would encourage them to just be strategic with their finances regardless, because, if they don't end up needing to use the money from the ESA because they won scholarships instead, that's even better yet. So I wouldn't stress out about it. I think the 40 and 50 could easily be used if they get a 4-year degree, but also if they continue on further, you'll have the money that you could potentially cash flow, plus there are other ways to pay for college.
This is a great problem to have, Andrew. That's all we're saying. You guys have done such a great job. How old are you two?
I'm 41 and she's 40.
Awesome. And what's the household income?
It's about $100,000 a year.
Fantastic. And so over the next 7 years, my guess is your income goes up and you're going to pay off the house. And so this is not something I would lose sleep over. You guys are so far ahead of the game to already have 40, 50 grand in there by the time they're 11 years old.
And you think our $200,000 a year or $200,000 in our retirement accounts will be enough to?
If you continue investing at 15%, I mean, you do the investing calculator online and go, all right, 200 grand. If I continue investing 15%, 20 years from now, when we're 60, we're going to have a few $1,000,000 in the bank with a decent rate of return.
And you did say you're currently investing 15%, correct?
Not quite that much. I think it's lower, probably towards 8 or 9.
I would bump that up today. And if that means we put less in college, that's totally fine. The A1 is baby step forward. It's in that spot for a reason. It comes before saving for college. We've got to get the mask on first, just like we do on the plane. I don't want your kids to have to take care of you because you were investing 8% and they were going, well, thanks for sending me to college debt-free, Dad, and now you have to live with us.
Right.
So that's the goal.
All right.
Thanks for the call.
You guys are doing a great job, though. I love hearing a parent that's 41, 42, their kids are young, and they're saving aggressively and having these questions. That is awesome. For all the parents that are listening who, their kids are going to go to college and they're feeling like this is 15 years away. I don't even need to think about it. Let this be your wake-up call. Be like Andrew and start thinking about it now. If you're out of debt, if you're investing for retirement, start thinking about it now, because that's part of the reason why we have the student loan crisis is there was not a lot of conversations like that early on. A lot of kids are going to college with no insight into their financial situation, how money works, that mom and dad aren't going to pay for it, that mom and dad don't have the money. These conversations need to happen early, and parents, if you can start saving early, that's just going to really help these conversations.
Well, and so many parents have their own baggage and shame financially, and so they feel weird talking to their kids about how they're broke and how they can't pay for college. But the biggest blessing you can be is to tell your kids, we don't have money for college, and I want to help figure out a way for you to still go debt-free.
Yeah, that's my story. My mom could not afford to pay for my college education, but she sat me down my freshman year of high school and was super honest with me and was just like, Christina, you're going to be on your own financially once you graduate from high school, so start thinking about how you're going to pay for college now. And she told me about this concept called scholarships, and I thought that sounded so exciting. I was like, wait, what? If I start working now, then I could have all of this thousands of dollars in free money to go to college. That sounds incredible. And so I just got obsessed with the idea of scholarships. I read every book I could find. I started interviewing alumni from my high school who'd won scholarships, and I just went all in. I built up my resume. I did a ton of volunteer work. And then my senior year of high school, I treated the scholarship application process like a part-time job. I just applied like crazy. And thank God it paid off. I was able to win over $500,000 in scholarships and go to school at Vanderbilt University, which is, I learned last night, I looked at their website, it is $84,000 a year right now.
Oh, gosh.
I know, crazy. But I was able to go to Vanderbilt completely debt-free and then get a master's totally debt-free. All thanks to my mom being willing to have the courage to have a hard conversation. And what she couldn't give me in money, she gave me in motivation in that hard conversation to be able to go, I'm going to give you insight into what your future is going to look like. And if you're willing to work hard now and push through, you can go to school debt-free.
I remember when I hosted our personal finance curriculum for high school, and I was interviewing these kids going, hey, so what are you studying? Why are you studying that? What do you want to do with that? What kind of job are you going to get? What kind of money do you think that job's going to make? It was like at a police interrogation. Some kids ran out crying, Christina, and I realized I'm the first one to ask them these questions. The parents aren't doing it. I shouldn't be America's dad, okay? Step up, parents. Have the hard conversations now instead of causing heartbreak and debt down the line. Go check out Borrowed Future if you want to sit down with your kid and have these conversations and have it be a natural, fun encounter. There you go.
Yep.
That puts this hour of The Ramsey Show in the books. My thanks to Christina Ellis, my co-host, all the folks in the booth, and you, America. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back real soon. Hey, George Camel here. If you love the show and you want a deeper dive on your money journey, we've got a weekly newsletter that gives you helpful articles and tips on following the Ramsey way. Just go to RamseySolutions.com today to sign up for the newsletter. Again, that's RamseySolutions.com to sign up for our weekly newsletter. Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studio, it's The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your life and your money. I'm your host, George Camel, joined this hour by Christina Ellis, and we're taking your calls at 888-825-5225. You jump in, we'll talk about your life and your money. If it's uncomfortable, if you're scared, hey, we'll change your name, we'll change the information. We just want to make sure that you get the help you need to take the right next step with your money. 888-825-5225. Teresa's up first in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Teresa, welcome to the show.
Hey there. So we're a family of 6, and we're relocating due to a promotion and just wanting to be close to family.
Cool.
And while we're selling our home, we are now renting from our family with low payments, but it's in an area that has some gun violence and drugs close by. Now, we can use what we earn from selling our house to pay off student debt and medical debt, or we can put a large down payment on a new house that would be in a much better area. But we would still be paying in that house, we would still be paying about 30 to 35%, depending on the interest rate once we purchase.
Okay.
So this house that you're renting, you guys have moved already, or you're going to move?
We have moved. We have lots of boxes unpacked because we're ready to move again. But yes, we are here. We're here.
And what is the rental cost? What are you paying per month?
$800.
Okay.
And what's the new take-home pay with the promotion? Household.
It's right now $124,000 a year.
And that's take-home? Or is that just the gross salary?
Well, that's the gross, yeah. So
Okay.
I'm not sure what that would be, know.
If you weren't renting from family, what's the average rent in the area for a similar house? Not in a rough area.
Probably over 2,000, I would guess, or just around there. I'm not too sure because we just kind of moved back here. So, but I would think around 2,000.
Okay, so then you mentioned debt and that the money that you had from the home sale could pay off that debt. How much debt is that?
So we have about $60,000 in student loans, and then I'm not sure about medical, but maybe five or.
And that's everything?
That's yes, that's everything.
And what was the equity from the sale of the home?
A little over 100.
So is that how much is kind of sitting in the bank right now?
It's not here yet, so we still haven't closed. We close on the 13th of March, hopefully.
Okay. So a month from now-ish, you'll have $100K in the bank. How much money do you guys have right now aside from that?
We just finished paying off all our credit cards, so we have very little in the bank because we tried to pay everything off so we could just be in a better place. So, we don't have much. Maybe, I don't even know. It's not much.
Okay.
Chump change.
We'll call it your $1,000 starter emergency fund?
Yes.
Does that work? Okay.
Yes.
So who are you renting this house from? Which family member?
My father-in-law.
Okay, and he's had this house for a while. Has he had a lot of problems with tenants in that area?
So he was living here, and he's a pretty low maintenance guy, and it's not like, he comes home and, it's not the same, it's not functioning the same as with me with 4 kids, so of course he's not going outside and letting kids play around outside. He's kind of past that in his years. So
can you guys get out of this rental at any time?
Yes.
Okay. Well, here's what I'm doing if I'm in your shoes. As soon as that check clears in that bank, I am paying off all my debt, and that leaves you with, $40,000 in the bank?
Yes.
And with that $40,000, we're going to set aside a big portion of that for your emergency fund, which I imagine for a family of your size, if we set aside 3 to 6 months of expenses, it's going to be somewhere in the ballpark of $20,000.
Okay.
And I would be moving somewhere else because you have a great income. I mean, let's say an $8,000 take-home pay, and you said you could rent for $2,000. Right?
Yeah.
That's 25%, which is exactly in our parameters to where you still have enough money to invest and live your life and save for vacations. And with the extra money, I'd be putting it towards a down payment, but you'll already have a, $20,000 head start.
Okay. So then we would miss out on like this dream house that offers a lot.
What's the dream house?
The dream house, it's, in the woods, has acreage, a greenhouse, a pool, fireplace, room for us to grow, room to put an in-law suite eventually for parents. So it's kind of the dream.
What's the house cost?
That we can. It's $325,000.
Well, Teresa, you said that it would take 30 to 35% of your take-home pay. A dream house is not a house that you can't afford, and at 35% of your take-home pay, that's not a dream. That's going to be real stressful. And I think you know it. That sigh says you know it.
You guys aren't that far from this. I mean, if you're making that income and you had no payments in the world, you could save up that down payment pretty fast. You got $20,000 in an emergency fund, $20,000 head start on the down payment. How long would it take for you guys to get back to your down payment goal? 2 years? Max? Maybe a year and a half?
Yeah, we would just miss out on that house. Yeah, it would, yeah.
When did you find out about this house?
We found out it was through friends at church. So it's, he just put it on the market, or he's about to put it on the market. He's waiting, he wants to sell to us. So
you found out a few months ago?
Yeah, like a month.
Here's the point. People have dreams that are like, when I was a little girl, I dreamed of being a princess. You just found out this house exists. There's going to be other houses that you go, this is my new dream house because this one has the clawfoot tub. I've always wanted the clawfoot tub. And so a lot of this is just the emotional, like, I would just be so nice to have that wonderful home instead of renting.
Well, and when you're living in the ghetto, also seeing any house that doesn't have people shooting guns nearby.
Right now, survival.
Seem like a dream.
Survival is a great dream right now. So you will get there and you will love the next house you're in. And when you step foot in that, you're going to do it with such financial peace because the payment isn't 35% or 40% of your take-home pay, and you are going to pay it off early and be able to retire when you want. That to me is the bigger dream, is freedom.
Let me throw out a quick question. So this is a family friend that has this house. And he wants to sell to you. Could you ask him if you could rent it for a few years? Like, what would the cost be to rent from him?
He is not allowed to rent in that area. So it's an area that you cannot rent. you're there to live there.
Interesting. What is like the forest, the HOA? How does this work here?
It is a forest. It is.
It's like protected grounds.
It's nearby, yes.
Are you renting in Fern Gully? I gotta know. This sounds amazing. Okay. Well, Teresa, I appreciate the question. You guys are in a great spot. I know it stinks to be patient and save more, but when you pay off this debt and you free up that income and you've got this big family that you can now focus on instead of worrying about the next paycheck to cover that big mortgage for the dream home that is now not the dream, you're going to be breathing easy. So take your time, be patient. Hopefully you take the advice. That's what I would do if I was in your shoes.
Yeah, that's great.
Thanks for the call.
Still on baby step number 1, eh?
How'd you guess?
With healthcare costs rising, learn how Christian Healthcare Ministries can help you make the most out of your budget. Visit chministries.org/budget.
Don't worry, it's worth it.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm George Camel, joined by Christina Ellis. Let's face it, guys, taxes are confusing. And if you buy what some tax services out there say, you might think you'll never get a grasp on taxes and shouldn't even try. But we think you're smarter than that, and you deserve the truth. So here's today's tax tip. You ready? You can cut out a lot of your tax stress just by taking a few minutes to get organized. So if you haven't already, collect all of those tax documents and put them in one place. That way you can see if anything's missing. All of your forms should have been mailed or sent to you electronically back in January. Forms for your income, your investments, your mortgage, things like that. And if you're missing something, get in touch with those folks now so you're not stuck when you go to file. We've got free tax prep checklists at RamseySolutions.com to help you keep track of your forms and records. And once you've got them all together and you're comfortable using tax software, Ramsey Smart Tax will walk you through the steps to file your federal return for just $19.95. Or if your situation is complex, we can connect you with a Ramsey Trusted Tax Pro like one of our endorsed local providers. Go to RamseySolutions.com/tax to get our free tax prep checklist and work with a service that's on your side. That's RamseySolutions.com/tax. All right, Christina, you did no spend January, and the people want to keep it going. So now we have Frugal February. What is going on here?
Yep, we're going into Frugal February. A lot of people who saw the no spend content in January weren't quite ready to do it themselves, but they wanted to go into February. And so a lot of people are doing a no spend month this month. And then other people who did no spend just felt so on fire.
It's
after
addictive.
It really is. They're like, let's keep going. Let's keep changing our lifestyle. Like, we want to be more frugal. We want to reach our money goals. So I'm like, let's go. I love it because for our family, we've got, some aggressive goals this year. We're baby step 6. We want to have a paid off house. So we are like, let's go. Let's cut down as much as possible so we can just tackle it. So I'm all on board with Frugal February, and I've been looking for different frugal things to share. I've been asking people on Instagram, what are you focused on right now? How are you saving money? And I came across this really interesting concept. It's called the Buy Nothing Group. And it's basically a local community where you give things away for free and you get them for free. And the goal is pretty much to fight consumerism and promote the idea of sharing. Like the whole old adage, the one man's trash is another man's treasure. It's pretty cool because it's like we live in this society now where it's so easy to just one-click order on Amazon and just buy the thing that you need in that instant. And it's like, do we really need to purchase that? Do we all need things that are new? Do we all need things right in that moment? So these groups, the idea behind it is that you give things away and you get things and we share and just really help each other save money in that way. So I actually jumped online and joined one of these groups last week, and it's pretty interesting. You had to type in like the nearest major intersection to make sure that you actually lived in the local community, and you could only join one group. So you couldn't join like 12 groups.
It prevents like the scammers and the people trying to game the system.
Right. And the idea is to create connection between neighbors. So it also has that benefit of, giving to people in your local area, and you have to give freely. So it's giving with no strings
attached. This is just like peer-to-peer goodwill.
Right.
Instead of going to Goodwill, you just leave it on your porch for someone else.
There you go.
Saves you a trip.
Well, that's what I was kind of thinking. I'm like, I've been doing this pretty much my entire adult life, but it's pretty cool to see people doing it like in official capacity. So I've shared the dining room table that we use right now, currently, I've had for about 10 years. And I got it right after college from a lady who lived in a really wealthy neighborhood, and she just didn't want to bother to move her table. And so she said, if you'll come and pick it up, I'll give it to you for free. It was a $1,400 table.
Wow.
Perfect condition.
See, I would want to join the Facebook groups in the wealthy neighborhoods where these people are just giving really nice stuff away.
Right? Exactly. And so it's pretty cool to see that, like, and the thing is it's not just on Facebook. You can do this on Marketplace. You can do this on different apps. I saw an app earlier called Free Alerts, where it alerts people about things that are being given for free in their area. So I'm like, hey,
That's
you know
legit.
what? A lot of people don't want to move their furniture. A lot of people don't want to take the time to, move or haul something. And it's like, if you're willing to do it, you may be able to get something.
Or negotiate and haggle with someone over $5 because they want a deal on it. It's going to be gone today if you just leave it for free.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that a lot of people naturally want to do this. So in our old neighborhood, there was a community Facebook page, and it was fun to see people just posting things up for free. We actually got a $400 play set for free. And then when we moved, we passed it on to another neighbor. So I just really want to challenge people to pay it forward, but also just think before you just go out and buy something. Think through, is there a way to potentially share this and get it for free? Just like change your mindset from the instant buys to more of a community. And you may be able to do this in your church, in your neighborhood. Maybe you join a local buy now group, or not buy now, save.
Buy now. Buy nothing.
Buy nothing group, opposite of buy now. But change your mindset around that. That's one of the greatest things with frugality. I think a lot of our grandparents did this naturally, right? Like, we're millennials and we're sitting there going, we came up with a group. It's an official title. We're so clever. But this is something that people did just naturally back in the day. But our generation has Amazon. We have all these one-click ordering solutions where we just buy so quickly. But stop and think, how can we share more as a community so that we're not constantly just spending money that's not necessary.
This is like take a penny, leave a penny for the modern world. I miss those. You were short. You're like, oh, they're perfect. There's a little thing of pennies right there. I don't have to come up with the extra change.
Does it make you less angry than the
Yes.
Starbucks, like, pay it forward movement?
Yes. And now, there's buy now, pay later. I like this version. It's buy nothing, pay never.
There we go.
That's what I'm talking about.
We all share.
I love it. Well, thanks for sharing, Christina. Appreciate that. And good luck to all of you on the No Spend Challenge. You're crushing it.
Let's go.
All right. David is calling from New Mexico. Let's see what he has to say. David, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, George. Good to be here.
Absolutely. How can we help?
Well, I'm thinking about retiring in a few months, and I've got a couple of IRAs that are just sitting around doing nothing. And I'd like to find a way to convert them into something that will produce some income. I'm a little afraid of income annuities, and I'm wondering if there's some other product out there that I don't know about.
Now, when you say generate income, what's invested inside of these IRAs?
About $470,000.
And what are they invested in?
American Century, Vanguard, Principal.
And you're saying it's not generating income?
They make a modest interest.
So what's the rate of return that you've been seeing? Obviously, this year has been a weird one.
The last couple of years have been weird. I'm not sure.
You're breaking up on us, David.
Low single digits.
Low single digits?
Sorry. Low single digits, yeah.
I wonder if you're not invested aggressively enough.
I'm not sure. I'm looking to see something maybe around 6%, 7%.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't jump into any kind of annuities. I don't like these contracts with insurance companies that promise payments.
No.
I would leave it aggressively invested and then decide how much of that you need to peel off of that. Do you need this income in retirement? How soon will you need it?
Not necessarily. I have investment accounts, and I'll have a small pension.
What other
I'll apply for Social Security.
What other retirement savings do you have?
I have about 130 in just plain old savings. I've got a brokerage account that generates about $40,000 a year in dividends, and I'll be applying for Social Security when I'm 62, which is only a couple of years away.
Yeah, so the goal would be not to need the IRA funds right now. And if you want to, obviously the goal in retirement is to minimize taxes. And so are you working with a financial advisor right now to walk through what a strategy looks like with all the different buckets you have?
Not yet. That's the next thing to do. I think I have that service available through Merrill Lynch.
Okay. And you can always get in touch with one of our SmartVestor pros at RamseySolutions.com. But that's where I would be right now as I'm getting close to retirement. Now it's crucial to be working with someone who can look at this from a 30,000-foot view, go, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to utilize this bucket first with your brokerage account. And we're not going to touch the IRAs until this point, and then we're going to use your cash savings over here in case there's a really down year and you don't want to sell the shares at a loss. And so they can walk you through all the nuanced strategies when it comes to that. But you've done a great job, man. What's your income?
90 from my employment, and then another 40 from the dividend.
Awesome. Dude, you are on the path. I would want to move your investments to something that's producing better than 6 or 7% on average, but I wouldn't pull it out and put it into any kind of annuity. So get in touch with a SmartVestor Pro at RamseySolutions.com. Get a professional opinion on that. But man, you are in so much better shape than almost every single American. Way to go. Proud of you. This is The Ramsey Show.
We've been doing business at Ramsey for more than 30 years. By now, we're a well-oiled machine, but it wasn't always that way. Yes, we've always had a vision, always had determination, and a drive to help people. But what we didn't have was one central place to access all our numbers so that we could get further ahead or quickly see when we needed to pivot. We were always jumping back and forth between different systems and spreadsheets. So when NetSuite by Oracle helped us wrangle our revenue, inventory, expenses, and more into one place, it was a game changer. And NetSuite's #1 cloud financial system can help your business gain the same visibility, because businesses thrive on timely data. And NetSuite's real-time analytics can help your business have immediate access to your numbers daily, so you always know where you stand and you can move quickly. So go to netsuite.com/Ramsey today and set up a free product tour. That's netsuite.com/Ramsey.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm Ramsey personality George Campbell, joined by Christina Ellis, and the phones are open at 888-825-5225. Rhonda joins us up next in Tampa. Rhonda, welcome to the show.
Hi there. How are you guys doing?
Doing so great. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to kind of call in as my husband and I are trying to get better at just managing our spending as we're wanting to buy a house and kind of super save within the next year or so. And my question kind of lies around credit cards. So we both currently have credit cards that we do not use with zero balance. And we were wondering if it was best to kind of just cancel the cards or if we should keep them open, as they're both kind of our longest line of credit. And with purchasing a house, credit scores are kind of a big thing. So we just kind of wanted advice on how we should do that and kind of just manage our money easier.
Cool. So do you guys have any debt currently?
We do not.
Awesome. And you have the fully funded emergency fund? Where are you guys at with that?
Yes, we do have a emergency fund in our savings currently. Yep.
Great.
What is your timeline for purchasing the house? You said soon. About how many months or a year?
So we live in an apartment right now, and our lease ends in July. So we're kind of looking to maybe move and maybe rent before we move out of our kind of city, see if we like where we're moving. We're looking at a city in Georgia. So there isn't really like a concrete timeline, but we're just wanting to kind of get in the best case scenario for when we are ready to buy a house.
Love it. So what is your down payment goal?
So our down payment goal is between 10 and 20%. We were looking at buying a house, but we weren't necessarily too crazy comfortable spending more than 5%. So we decided to kind of just wait it out. So yeah, we're definitely wanting to put down as much as possible.
Love it. And that's a great goal. I mean, 20% will help you avoid private mortgage insurance, as you probably know. And what's your household income?
So for the year, we make about 180 together.
Love it. And so what, if you put a number to this goal, that 10 to 20%, what does it amount to?
I would say, let me think, probably closer to between 30 and 50,000.
Okay. Awesome. And you'll get there. I mean, that won't take you guys long at all with your income, with no debt. So here's what I'm doing in your shoes. You do not need the credit score to buy the house. And I say that because I did it myself through the no score loan manual underwriting process. And our friends at Churchill Mortgage do these all day. And let me tell you, Rhonda, I put out a video the other day and I rocked the entire internet in anger because they were calling me a liar and they just couldn't Google it for themselves apparently. And so the truth is, once you close all of your accounts, your credit score should become indeterminable, which means it's not technically a zero. You can't really get to a zero. It just disappears off the face of the earth. And that would cause you to have to go through the manual underwriting process, which just means a real person looks at Rhonda's financial situation and goes, okay, they make $180K, they have an emergency fund, they've got 20% down, they're doing a 15-year fixed. Yeah, we'll give you a mortgage with a great interest rate, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no need to keep the credit cards open. And the sooner you close them, the sooner you can begin that process of that credit score becoming indeterminable, which is great because you guys are going to go rent for a year while that happens and continue to save the down payment.
Well, and that's what I was going to highlight is there is that period of time when your credit score is going to indeterminable where
it could fluctuate.
It can fluctuate. So canceling the cards as quickly as possible. So there is that leeway. We sold our house last May, and still had a mortgage on that house. And so when we sold it, we went through the process of it going to indeterminable. And there was that nerve-wracking 7 months where I'm like, when's it going to go? When's it going to go? I was literally asking Dave. I was like, Dave, it's not gone away yet. When is it going away? So there is that period, that little limbo period while it's going away. So yeah, the sooner the better so that you have that runway before you're really, really aggressively searching for a house.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that. That definitely helps. And then maybe just last, we're trying to do the no spend February, any crazy tips to try and, save as much as possible and kind of budget our finances better?
Yes, I love it. I think getting aggressive with your grocery budget is a big thing. We did no spend, and then it's easy to leave that grocery budget there and kind of eating up your whole budget. But we went down to $100 a week, and going into the grocery store with a meal plan, with a list. We even got online and pre-shopped in advance where we were like looking at Aldi's website going, okay, how much does this cost? And doing all the math to make sure that our total would be under 100. And it was a fun challenge for us. And then we had several people who did like charts where they would have the month laid out and then they would X out, win days that they did really well, so that if they did have a day where they happened to not do the no spend challenge, where they fell off the wagon, they didn't then go, oh, well, the whole month was a fail. Like we didn't do it. It's like, no, it was one bad day, but you got to start again the next day. But then we also just had a lot of people who went all in. And I think that's one of the good things about going all in is it's like when you take all spending out, all discretionary spending out for a month, it's like that boundary is so hard that it's like actually easier than a lot of people thought. A lot of people, I got a ton of DMs where people are like, I thought that I could never do this. I'm a free spirit. I'm a spender. I didn't think I could do this. But having that strict boundary where you're like, this is just 1 month and we're going to go all in. It's like they were very surprised by the results.
Yeah, well, awesome. Thank you. That definitely helps. Yeah, I try to stick to a meal plan and stick to the grocery list and not buy all of those extra snacks and things that look good in the moment but don't necessarily fit within the budget.
Oh, yeah. And the other one you can do, I use Every Dollar and do a budget audit where you literally go through every single item and go, could we do better there? Do we need that? Could we cut that for a month? Hey, how can we shave that down? Yeah, let's get rid of that. And you start to really see the margin because it'll show you at the top of your Every Dollar budget as you change those numbers out. So if you can figure out a way to save $200 and then make $200 by selling stuff or doing a side hustle, that's a $400 spread every single month. That's $5,000 a year. And so all of a sudden you get a little pep in your step when you start to see the numbers and what it does for your budget.
Yeah, the momentum is amazing. And also get in community. If you have anybody else who wants to do it with you, that is really helpful. Having that extra level of accountability is amazing, especially if it's like neighbors who might see you at the grocery store. If you end up slacking and walking out with a heaping cart. I know that was big for me, knowing that I was doing it with the Instagram community. I was like, if I go over budget, somebody will probably see me spending. But just knowing that there were other people in the ring with me where it's like, my church or my friends are doing it and we're all in this together and we all want to win together. That's just also nice to have that accountability to push you.
Well, best of luck,
absolutely.
Rhonda. Way to go. You guys are in a great spot. And I love the conversation about manual underwriting because it feels like no one understands that it's real, and they think, well, if you just have an FHA loan or a VA loan, I've heard about that, but this is a conventional loan we're talking about. And if you have 12 months of rental history of consistent on-time payments, and then you have another source of non-traditional credit, things like your cell phone bills, your insurance bills, all of that counts towards you qualifying for this conventional mortgage, especially when you follow our plan and you have an emergency fund and you have a great income that can cover your payment because you're doing the 25% or lower and the 15-year conventional. We ran the numbers with one of my buddies at Churchill. You get the same exact interest rate if you do a 15-year conventional fixed-rate mortgage with at least 10% down. As someone who has a great or excellent credit score, I would have just as good of an interest rate.
That is powerful.
Because that's another comment I got. Well, your interest rate's going to be 47% on that mortgage. This guy's an idiot. And I'm just going, I just told you I did it. And they're like, lies. And they're just frustrated because they want to be homeowners. They don't think it's possible. They think they have to play the games of the system and play the credit score games that ends up keeping them in debt longer and keeps them further away from home ownership. So get in touch with our friends at Churchill if you want to know about this process. This is for U.S. residents only. Canadians, I'm sorry. For some reason, they just don't allow manual underwriting in Canada. So I don't know what it takes to move to the U.S. I'm sure it's difficult these days, but it's just life is better in America. That's all I can say.
Ouch, George.
Sorry. Not sorry. Hey, more of your calls coming up. 888-825-5225. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm George Campbell, joined by Christina Ellis this hour. We've got a question of the day from Kristen, who was hanging out in our Facebook group, the Baby Steps Millionaires community. Not just for actual Baby Steps Millionaires, but if you're an aspiring Baby Steps Millionaires, you're on that path, be sure to go join that Facebook group. And here's her question. I'm saving for college for children. We have an 18-year-old that will be starting college in January. We will not be on Baby Step 5 for a while, but do we save for her college even though she will already be in college? Do we help her pay for it, or do we just leave that to her? I don't know. What is the right thing to do?
Well, I'm a little confused by the question because she's saying we're about to start saving for college, but they're not on Baby Step 5 yet, right? So I'm assuming they still have debt.
That's what it sounds like. They're probably in baby steps 1 through 3. Mm-hmm. And they're going, hey, she's going to be in college. Do we do we just go ahead and help her with that? Or do we just leave that to her since we're not at a place to do it yet?
Well, if you're still in debt, I'm going to encourage you to wait and pay off your debt. Like, you need to focus on getting yourself out of the hole. There are other ways for her to pay for her college education, and y'all need to start focusing on that debt and getting yourselves prepared for retirement and all the other, the first 4 baby steps. Now, it's a little challenging because she's already 18, and you said she starts in January. So she probably, I'm assuming, already has a vision for where she wants to go. I'm hoping that vision doesn't include a $50,000 school that she can't afford. And that's where the conversation is going to get interesting, because have you had these conversations before, or is this going to blindside her at this point? Has she thought all along that mom and dad are going to pay for my college education and this is going to be a hard conversation? And if so, that's okay. There's a lot of parents in that situation, but I would just prepare yourself for a difficult conversation, a level-setting conversation, and you may even need to apologize and say, we should have had this conversation sooner. I'm really sorry. I didn't do well with money. That's why we're in debt, and we've got to go back and, clean up our mess. And with that, we don't have money to pay for your college. And so you may not be able to go to that 4-year private school that you've been dreaming about. You may need to go to community college first for 2 years. You may need to go to a tuition assistance program. There just may need to be some adjustments, unfortunately, just given the where you are in the process. And it's a hard conversation. It is hard, but I'm proud of you for asking the question. And if you're willing to pivot now, there are all sorts of options. There's obviously changing schools, but if she's a bright student, perhaps she can get scholarships. Perhaps you can empower her to figure out, how she can qualify. Maybe she can get a full ride to a different school. But I would definitely, put the onus on her and try to empower her to figure out how to pay for her education. And of course, take student loans off the table, because we're in the student loan crisis right now. So many people didn't have this conversation and they just let their kids go into crazy amounts of debt. So that is not the option, but it's probably not going to be a super fun conversation at this point.
Yeah, we need to do more research and go, what are the options? Can you live at home for the first year and go to that local community college to save money? And maybe that puts a fire under you guys to go, we got to get out of debt in the next 2 years so that we can help cash flow the other 2 for her. That's a huge goal for us. We want to be there for her. And so, yeah, I think encouragement, coaching is really the best thing you can do for her right now, not sacrificing your own retirement, your own debt freedom so that we can help her go to college. That's not the goal right now.
Yeah, and I just think a lot of grace for both of you guys in this conversation, because you're in the Baby Steps Millionaire community. You're working through the baby steps. You're doing the best you can. So I know that you're probably feeling shame right now and frustration that you don't already have the cash for it. She's probably going to feel a little frustrated that she's going to have to figure out a way, but I'm proud of you both, for all of you, for actually getting on the journey. But with all those feelings of shame, with all those feelings of kind of being like, that still needs to, like, the conversation still needs to happen, even though it's a hard conversation, even though it's not the most fun process right now. Be willing to do it.
Absolutely. Thanks for the question, Kristen. All right, let's go to the phones. Leslie is up next in Minneapolis. Leslie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. So the reason for my call today was in my senior year of high school, I was working a bunch of jobs. I saved up a bunch of money to buy my first car and to pay for college. I would say I saved about $3,000 at the time. And because I was 17, a minor, my mom was like the owner of my account essentially. So she had access to it. And she asked me to borrow $3,000. And because I've been watching Dave Ramsey since I was like 16, I knew that was a dumb idea, so I said no. But because she had access to my account, she went ahead and took that money out anyways. And then a couple months later, she never paid me back. A couple months later, she went to a police auction and bought an unregistered car that failed the Minnesota safety exam twice, so it was unsafe to drive. And then she forced me to spend another $2,000 on repairing this car because, like I said, it wasn't drivable. So I'm just kind of in a rut right now. Like, I don't know what to do about my next vehicle.
How old are you?
I'm 18 years old.
So this was a year ago? Was this the past 12 months?
This was a year ago, and even though the car was unsafe to drive, I was still driving it, almost actually got in an accident. So recently I just stopped driving it, so I don't drive right now.
What is the current relationship with your mom?
So we try to maintain a good relationship. But aside from like just the financial aspect of this, I would say I'm really hurt on an emotional level.
Yeah, that's
you have every right to be.
That's a lot. So you said there was the original $3,000, and then you said she forced you to do the additional $2,000. How did that happen?
Well, she bought it without my consent, right? Like she bought this car for $1,500, bought it without my consent, never gave me my $3,000 back, and because she had access to my account, she pulled another $2,000 out of my account to fix this car.
So how?
And also, I forgot to mention, she also suggested that I take out student loans to buy a car. And mind you, I'm on full academic scholarships right now, so I have no loans. And she suggested that I should take out student loans to get a car.
How have these conversations with your mom gone? You said you still have a decent relationship, but anybody in your situation, I just want to stop for a second and validate, would feel emotionally hurt. That is a very hurtful thing. But
like the money aside, I'm just so disappointed that the person who's supposed to protect me would even do this.
Where are you living now?
I live on campus.
Okay.
I go to the University of Minnesota.
Are you working?
Yes, I do.
And are your finances now separated from your mom?
Yes, as soon as I turned 18, on my 18th birthday, I didn't even have a party. I went to the bank.
Get it, girl. Well, before we even dive any further, we'll make sure you stay on the line after this call. We're going to get you a copy of Own Your Past, Change Your Future by Dr. John Deloney, because you've got a lot to sort through. You've got the financial part, and that's just incredibly hurtful.
You're grieving the loss of the finances, but really the loss of this relationship, because you can't trust mom anymore. And that's what every relationship is based on.
Yeah, what's worse is if I even bring up like how disappointed I am. She's like, well, if it wasn't because of me, you wouldn't even have a car. You're so ungrateful. I've done so much for you. I gave birth to you. You don't even know what I'm going through. I really needed that money.
That's what she must be going through something. Does she have any addictions? Does she have big spending problems?
She has a very bad spending problem, and her and my dad are going through some marital problems too, so that doesn't help.
Well, I would also, so just to lay the very foundation, you said you're at college. I would see if there's a mental health office at your college where you can see a counselor, because right now you're going through a lot of manipulation. There's a lot of turmoil right now. The relationship with your mom is not healthy, and you know that, but it's hard because it's your mom. It's a primal wound. You feel that draw towards your mom. You want her in your life, right? We all want to have those types of relationships, but this isn't healthy. And I think it will help you to have some outside consistent consultation where somebody can go, you are valid and being mad about this. Like, this is hurtful, but then also to help separate, this is hurtful, this is your past, but how are we going to move forward in the future? How are you going to get rid of those wounds and those hurts so that you can move forward with your life in a healthy way?
So, Leslie, how much money do you have right now?
I have about $4,000 in my savings account right now that she does not have access to.
Okay, good. We're going to see how much we can get for your current car. It may be pennies, and we're going to get you a safe car. And if you can borrow one for now, ride around with friends. That's what I'm doing around campus for now. But what a sad situation. I'm so sorry for what you have gone through. You're going to climb out of this thing, and it's going to be a stupid tax, and it's not your fault, but it's your responsibility on what you do moving forward. Thanks for the call. That puts this hour of The Ramsey Show in the books.
Hey, it's Christina Ellis. If you like what you heard in this episode and want to know more about getting started on the Ramsey baby steps, go to RamseySolutions.com and click on the Get Started button. We'll help you figure out the best next step for you based on your specific situation. That's RamseySolutions.com and click Get Started.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Pods Moving and Storage Studio, it's The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your life and your money. I'm George Camel, hosting this hour with my friend Christina Ellis. Open phones at 888-825-5225. You jump in, we'll talk about your life and your money. And if you're listening to the show, I'm hoping you enjoy the show. And if you do enjoy the show, here's what I ask. Because the show is free, yet we're not going to do a telethon. We're not asking for your money. Here's what I ask, and it's free. If you like the show, consider subscribing following, leaving a review, and sharing it with a friend. It takes you a few seconds to click, another click, hit the 5-star, say something nice, and share it with a friend who might enjoy this, might benefit from the financial advice we are doling out here on the show. Let's go to the phones. Ethan kicks it off in Orlando. Ethan, welcome to The Ramsey Show, my friend. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good.
What's going on?
Something I'm wondering about is my roommate isn't quite able to make the rent every month, and I'm wondering how I can get him on a budget. And then if at the end of the lease he's not able to pay back the money we've lent him over time, do I just write that off as stupid tax or hope that he can end up paying me back?
He's not able to, or he doesn't want to?
I don't know. He makes room for his groceries and his other stuff, but he ends up being late every month on the rent.
What's his reaction? Like,
are you like buddies with this guy, or is this like a true like roommate? We found this guy on Craigslist.
Yeah, the three of us, we've all been friends for several years, like since early high school.
When he can't pay, like what does he say? Is he just constantly bumming money off you guys? Is he remorseful, or does he
like slapping his pockets, like, oh man, yeah, phew.
Yeah, he seems a little sorry, but he more just lets us discover, oh, looks like we got a late fee. What? Okay, well, we haven't paid on time. Okay, why did that happen?
Who's this money getting paid to? Who's the landlord?
This huge, renting company.
Well, I think that's the next step. If this guy can't pay, is they get to evict him because he's not making rent, and you find a new roommate who can, and you have that hard conversation.
Okay, because it felt more like from their perspective, the company, that it's more like, total bill needs to be paid and they don't care who pays it. But you're saying it's more like a
can they split it into different payments, or do they need it all as one giant lump sum and they go, hey, you roommates, you figure out who's going to actually write that check?
We all have accounts on their website, but they just see what it is at the end of the month. It's just one tab that we're all chipping into.
I would talk to them and say, hey, listen, we're all on the lease. 2 of us are paying just fine. This guy's not. What are our options here? Mm-hmm. Because right now you're just enabling him by allowing him to take this interest-free loan every month. I mean, how far behind is he on rent?
In total, it's like $1,500 because he's never paid the electricity bill.
What? How is he okay with this?
Because we've been patient with him, but after these few months,
you don't be patient with idiots. They'll drag you down with them. This guy's a grifter.
Yeah.
How have these conversations gone? Like, have you had these real conversations with him where you're just like, hey, dude, like, we can't keep doing this?
Yeah, what we've done is I've given him like payment plans where it's all right, we're going to do this much this month, this much that month, and I project it out for him for the whole year, and he's like, gee, thanks. And then next month he didn't quite make it. And it's like, well, what happened to the payment plan? He's like, okay.
Well, even the fact that he says, gee, thanks, like his response to your generosity and to you floating him this money is, gee, thanks, there's not respect there.
Dude, I'd have his mattress on the lawn and change the locks and say, you don't live here until you pay rent. And that's not because I'm a bad friend or whatever. He's putting you guys in a terrible financial spot and now using you to enable his stupid behavior.
Well, I don't know that you can legally put the mattress on the lawn.
Listen, I don't know that you can legally not pay rent for a year and make your friends give you loans and put you on payment plans, even though you're not the landlord.
Well, and that's where I would change it from a friendship relationship where this is all one group of friends paying rent. And like George said, I would call the landlord and say, okay, this dude's not paying. We may need to evict him. We need to figure this out. Like, we need to know our options because we can't keep doing this.
I'm going to say you've got 1 month to come up with that $1,500 you owe, and then you are on time every single month. In fact, you're early. Mm-hmm. And if you're not, you can't live here anymore because we need someone who pays reliably on time. That was the agreement when you signed that lease.
Are you willing to have this conversation? Because part of it is, like George said too, the enabling. Like,
this is not a budget meeting. This guy doesn't want to pay.
And he's not really being your friend. Like, the fact that he's putting you in this financial situation and really taking advantage of you is not a good friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's why I'm saying if you go to the company and make them the bad guy, that will at least put some fuel on this thing.
Yeah, I can imagine that he doesn't quite notice the gravity of it. Like, if he didn't have such nice friends, he would be evicted. Like that would have happened.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But you know what happens when you do it 1 month and the next month, it just becomes normal. And so he gets used to stupidity instead of having to actually change his behavior. I mean, this guy's working, right? He's making money.
Yeah, he works at like an oil change place.
And if he can't afford to live there, he just needs to find a new place to live. It's not because I'm a bad friend. You guys can still be friends with him when he moves out. In fact, you're probably better friends with him when you're not part of his landlord situation.
Yeah, it's made things awkward.
Yeah.
What's your rent? What's the cost?
Total $24.50 a month.
And you guys split that 3 ways.
Another like 100. Yeah. Well, I pay a little bit more since I have the master bedroom, but yeah.
Okay. So what's his share? $700?
No. Yeah, he pays like $790, and then another like $60 or whatever in utilities.
And he's not paying electricity for some reason.
Yeah, he just hasn't done that yet.
When does this lease end?
At the very end of August.
Okay. And are you planning to renew this lease? I hope I know the answer.
No, we definitely can't,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He needs to be gone.
The back of my brain wanted me to, find a place that's $2,000 a month with him. But, when I asked him, okay, what can you afford? He's like, I guess $700. And it's like, well, what do you mean you guess? You need a budget.
I mean, I'm happy to gift you Total Money Makeover to gift to him. I don't think this guy's going to crack the cover of it, to be honest. Because he doesn't want to change. He's not coming to you for financial advice. He's coming to you for handouts. Has he once said, man, my paychecks are tight. Can you help me figure this out? Has he once said that?
No, he's never had me sit down with him.
I think that's very telling.
Never asked me to. Mm-hmm.
I think you need to channel your inner George energy,
dude,
and get aggressive with him.
My little man syndrome comes out in these situations. I'm just not putting up with that crap. Your life is too important. Your financial future is too important to let this goober stick around and put you in a bind with this weird personal loan situation where now you have to start hassling him for the money. Going, where's my money? Where's my money? I'll get it to you next month, bro. He's out.
You're also not his parent. The fact that you're like trying to talk to him about money and he's like, gee, thanks. That's like something that like a child would say to their mother. Like not two grown adult friends.
I'm fuming right now. I'm sorry, Ethan, that you got to go through this. Find better friends is A1. But next step, let's get this guy out of here. You're listening to The Ramsey Show, 888-825-5225. I'm George Campbell, joined by Christina Ellis this hour. Well, Christina, I have been playing around with this new tool called ChatGPT. It has taken the world by storm. It's a very fancy AI tool where you can just give it some prompts and it can spit out things, and all of its knowledge comes from 2021 and previous. And so it's not quite Google, but it's fascinating. One of our engineers had some fun with this and said, give me a song about Dave Ramsey. And here's what the robots out there decided would be a great song. We're going to do this in a few parts, Christina. We're not going to sing it because we want to stay on air. But give us the first verse and chorus.
All right, let's go, chat robot. Verse 1. He'll teach you how to save your cash. He'll make your money grow. He'll show you how to live below your means and let it flow. Dave Ramsey, he's the man with financial wisdom in his hand. He'll guide you through the ups and downs on the road to financial soundness.
Off to a rocky start. All right, let's continue to verse 2. He'll teach you how to pay off debt and not to live in fear. He'll show you how to invest for a future that is clear. Dave Ramsey, he's the man with financial wisdom in his hand. He'll guide you through the ups and downs on the road to financial soundness.
He's got a plan for you and me to live a life of financial glee. So listen to his words of advice and you'll be living the good life twice.
Back to the chorus. Dave Ramsey, he's the man with financial wisdom in his hand. He'll guide you through the ups and downs on the road to financial soundness.
So take his advice and run, and you'll see the money come. Dave Ramsey, he's the man with financial wisdom in his hand.
Wow. Well, I think it's safe to say that human songwriters have job security. Yep. The robots have not yet figured out how to replace true creative art. And truthfully, they don't even know how to rhyme yet. I mean, those were some pretty rough rhymes.
But it was better than I thought it would be by a robot. There actually was money content.
The concepts are there.
Yeah.
The concepts are there. If it wasn't a song, maybe like a haiku, I would buy it. But financial soundness, I don't know that anyone's ever used that term.
And that didn't rhyme.
No. It felt like just like the Kids Bop edition of Ramsey. You know? You remember those commercials growing up?
I do.
Wow. And financial glee. I haven't heard that one either. I kind of like that. To live a life of financial glee. So here's the challenge for you all listening out there. If you want to add music to this, you want to sing it, the power is in your hands. So here's what we want you to do. We're going to put these lyrics in the show notes on podcast, in the description on YouTube. And if you so choose, again, on your own volition, to come up with some music, some melody, take some creative artistic license here, you can email us, ask@ramseysolutions.com with your song submission, and maybe we'll feature it on the show. It's a big maybe. It's a big maybe. This was so bad, I don't know that I ever want it unearthed ever again.
Yeah, I'm like, the bar is not super high, y'all. Like, I have a feeling we've got some creative people out there that can do quite a bit better than the robot.
If you can polish this thing up, you might have a music career ahead of you. So ask@ramseysolutions.com. You can check out the lyrics in the show description, podcast show notes. Send us your final song you've made from these somewhat okay lyrics. Wow. Have you used ChatGPT yet?
I played with it.
It's pretty fascinating. It does a decent job depending on what you feed into it, the prompts that you give it.
It's kind of wild. Like, yeah, some of the prompts and some of the output, I'm like, uh-oh. Like, there's going to be some interesting waves in the future.
If there's a complex topic and you're like, hey, explain to me this topic like I'm 5 years old and make it fun and light. And it can do that. So we can, you can talk about, 401ks or something. There you go. So check it out while you can before they start charging for it, because, they're going to monetize that thing in no time.
That's wild. I wouldn't recommend taking financial advice from it yet.
What a time to be alive. I grew up in the era of Ask Jeeves. Do you remember Ask Jeeves?
I do.
It was like the original Google.
Gosh, George, that makes us sound old.
I know. I had a GeoCities website too.
MySpace, that was my thing.
That's right. Editing the HTML backgrounds.
Oh, man.
Love it. We feel so old.
Yeah, that's a little painful. That hurts a little. Gen Z's like, what? What is MySpace? What's Ask Jeeves?
Top 8? Oh my gosh. I love it. Well, let's get to the phones here. Jason is awaiting in St. Louis. Jason, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Sure. How can we help?
So I'm recently I'm changing positions at my current job. I'm not going to be offered health insurance, and we started Financial Peace in January, and we really kind of jumped off with it all. We knocked a lot of debt down. I think close to like $70,000 we've paid off in the last month and a half.
Woo!
Awesome.
Payments and getting rid of some debt. So I was just kind of curious on the best way to go about getting health insurance, because my wife is self-employed and doesn't obviously qualify for it through her employment. And I looked at the marketplace and like private insurance, and it's like anywhere from like $900 to $1,000 a month. We don't have any medical conditions. We don't take any prescriptions. So I was just kind of seems like a waste, to spend that kind of money, but I just don't want, we have a 6-year-old, so I don't want anything to happen. And then,
yeah, you need health. It's a non-negotiable that you need health insurance. It doesn't matter how healthy you are today. It's about the what ifs in life, and medical bills can rack up to 6-7 figures very quickly.
Yeah. And we don't want to, deflate our boat that we're doing right now.
Sure.
When you changed job positions, did you know that it would be an insurance change? Did you have insurance before this new position? What's kind of that look like?
Yeah. So I did know, but I'm trying to just let my wife get her business growing. So we knew that we were going to have to pay out of pocket. I didn't realize it was going to be this much. I talked with a broker, and she recommended like a short-term insurance that kind of covers like the catastrophic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you guys were familiar with those or.
Yeah, I mean, there's things like COBRA as well. When you leave a job, there's kind of that gap insurance, but you need something long term because there's not your situation isn't changing anytime soon as far as work and employment and benefits.
It could. So I'm waiting for a night shift to open up.
What kind of work
so
are you
I'm a
doing?
nurse.
A nurse?
I'm a nurse.
And there's no health insurance provided as a nurse?
Not as a PRN physician, so I pretty well pick up shifts whenever they have available. Like I work in a float pool, so I have like 9 hospitals throughout one hospital system that I float between. So like I can pick up at any of these places. So like the work's not going to be an issue, finding it. I just have to pay more out of pocket for my health insurance.
Are there other positions that would provide health insurance?
There are. But like I said, the position I'm currently in is a very good paying job. So I just really need to wait until the night shift opens up. And
so that's going to be the trade-off is because it's a better paying job, you're going to have to use some of that better pay to cover the more expensive health insurance through the marketplace because it's not going to be subsidized through your employer.
Yeah.
Will the night shift provide you with insurance? Well, like if you do get that position?
Yeah, it will because I'll be back to a full-time position and it'll work better. Like I said, with my wife being able to grow her business more, and then we don't have any help with our son, like childcare.
Okay, so this really is a temporary thing in the ideal scenario.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but like I'm not going to say in this long term. That's why I was looking at the short term.
Have you connected with one of our Ramsey ELPs, endorsed local providers, or was this an outside agent?
It was an outside agent, just a local one by me.
Okay. I'd get a second opinion. If you jump on RamseySolutions.com, click on Trusted Services, then click on Insurance, and then Health Insurance, they can help shop you all the types of insurance you might need depending on your situation, depending on how long. And just know in the meantime, you might have to tighten up that budget and go, this stinks that we're paying, $1,000 a month right now, but we've got to get the right coverage. Don't skimp on this in the short term because it can lead to financial ruin if you start skipping around on this.
Yeah. Okay.
Man, but congrats on the new position. Hope long term we can find you something with good health benefits. I mean, it's one of the main reasons people choose a job is the benefits, and especially health insurance, because it's an insane situation here in America and a lot of other countries. So get that taken care of ASAP. Never have a gap in health insurance, and connect with one of our Ramsey ELPs at RamseySolutions.com. They can help independently shop all of the different companies out there to get you the best rate. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm George Campbell, joined by Christina Ellis this hour. On The Ramsey Show, we're here to help you figure out the right next steps for your money, and sometimes we do that through live events on the road, and we are so pumped to do that with our Building Wealth live tour coming up starting next week. All of the Ramsey personalities are going to be scattered across these events, and it's a proven plan for your money that will work even in this economy. So you can catch us in Indianapolis on February the 16th. I'll be there with Dave Ramsey, Rachel Cruz, and Jade Warshaw. February 23rd, you can go to Austin, Texas to see Dave Ramsey, Ken Coleman, Dr. John Deloney, and Jade Warshaw. Then we're headed to Salt Lake City on April 24th with Dave Ramsey, Rachel Cruz, Christina Ellis, and myself. And finally, we'll end it in Anaheim, California on May 2nd with Dave, Ken, Dr. John, and Christina. Tickets start at just $49, and you can get a 4-pack starting at $175. These seats are going fast. Our last fall tour sold out, so you don't want to wait on this. Reserve your seats now. RamseySolutions.com/events is the place to go. You ready to hit the road, Christina?
I am so excited.
These events have been electric.
Oh, I've heard such great things about them, and it feels like the baby personalities, the new ones, are Finally, spreading their wings
You
and
made it
hitting
onto
the
the
road.
tour bus.
Yes.
I love it. We're going to have a good time. Join us for that. All right, let's go to the phones. Tim is in Virginia Beach. Tim, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
Yeah, what's going on?
So my wife and I have been stuck in baby step 2 for what feels like forever. And it seems like every time we start to get some traction, a big ticket item kills our momentum. Something that's much more expensive than just what the $1,000 emergency fund covers. Just in the last probably 5 years, we've had HVACs that have completely died. We had a pipe burst in our house, and unfortunately, homeowners insurance wouldn't cover it. That cost us about $4,000 out of pocket to take care of. We have 4 vehicles. My wife and I and our 2 adult kids. We are paying payments on my wife's car, but mine and my 2 kids are older model cars. And just this week, my son's car was in the shop to the tune of $650, and my daughter's car was in the shop to the tune of $750.
Ouch. And
it just makes it feel like, we actually keep $2,000 in our emergency fund just because so many times something hits us that's $1,000 or more and just wipes it out. So we've started keeping $2,000 in there. That seems to be a good number that we can take care of something right away and not have a car parked for a couple weeks waiting to make more money to cover the expense. But what would be your advice? Because, listening to all the teachings and the stuff, maybe they've been discussed on your shows, but I don't really hear people talk about how to handle those big expenses, especially like when things go wrong in the house and you're trying to work the baby steps, and it's like, man, it just is like gut punch to have, some of these things happen, and you just don't really have the funds, and you're facing, do we finance or what do we do?
Well, how much debt do you have total? Let's talk about baby step 2 and where you're at. What is your total debt?
Okay, so our total debt, we have about $28,000 in credit card debt. We owe $15,000 is left to pay on my wife's car. We have a little over $40,000 of student loan debt, and we have our home. We have about $180,000 to pay on our home.
Okay, and what is your house?
We got a long road. We got a long road ahead of us.
Well, what is your household income?
Oh, well, that actually is pretty good. So I bring home $90,000 a year, and my wife has just recently got into travel nursing, and so she's making she made 120. She makes about a little over 120,000 a year.
Oh my goodness!
So combined, you're
amazing.
over 200.
Yes. Well, this past year, yes. So for 2022, yes, we were right at about 180,000. The previous year was our gross income.
How much debt have you paid off thus far in the journey? You said you've been doing this for 10 years. How much have you tackled?
We paid off cars, and then we have had to finance my wife's car, and that's a whole other story in itself. We've paid off several credit cards.
What is her car worth today?
About what we owe. I think the current Carfax on it is about $15,500, and I think we owe just shy of $15,000 on it.
Okay. Well, here's the good news. With this newfound income, this debt is gone this year. And there's nothing that's going to stop you. Because what I'm hearing is, okay, we had a $600 repair, $400 repair. That's not enough to completely halt the debt snowball when you're making $200,000. And so I think a lot of it is more emotional than it is financial.
There's a lot of other expenses, and while my wife and I are both on this plan, full disclosure, like our daughter does not work. She's a college student, and she goes away to college, and that is like, we give her $800 a month to help cover things while she's in college. Plus, we pay for everything while she's in college. So I know that could probably be argued as to why we do that or not, but it is what it is.
Is her room and board paid for, her meals already through the school, or what?
Yeah, so she's got a scholarship. She's an athlete, so she's got a partial scholarship, athletic scholarship, and then she's got an academic scholarship. And the rest of it is she's actually taken student loans out for the other part of it. But yeah, I mean, very very easily, she's another $1,000 a month.
But you guys are bringing home easily $10K a month in take-home pay.
Yes.
So that's the real question. Where is that $10,000 going? Let's get on a real strict every dollar budget and go, where is all the money leaks happening? And some of it might be, hey, honey, we can't give you $800 a month anymore. We're going to bring it down to $100 for basic living expenses.
Well, and Tim, I kind of feel like there's a bit of a laissez-faire attitude about it. Like baby step 2, if you're really following the teaching, it is gazelle intensity. It is, we are getting rid of this debt. We are mad. We are running as fast as we can. And with $200,000, you can pay this off in a year, but you can't if you're just kind of chilling and you're just kind of like, well, this and well, that. Like, you got to get really intense and serious about this.
Life has just been happening to you and you feel out of control. But there is another world where you go, oh, I'm in control. And yes, there's going to be little bumps in the road that come our way. But just looking at the numbers here, if you wanted to pay off all $83,000 in the next 12 months, you would need less than $7,000 a month going towards that. You bring home over $10,000. And so the question is, how can we get our expenses down to 3 or less in order to throw 7+ at the debt? It's just a math equation if you take the emotion out of it, right? On paper.
Right.
On paper, you can do it. But emotionally, it's just like, oh, it's out of control. There's so many expenses. We can't. So the question is, are you guys actually sitting down and doing a budget together every month going, here's what we're going to do. Are we agreeing to stick to this?
Well, yeah, probably not as good as we should. And I'm not going to make that part of it up.
Well, we can help with that. I want to gift you guys 1 year of Every Dollar Premium so that it connects to your bank. You're seeing all the transactions come through. There's a paycheck planning tool. You're going to feel more in control of every single one of those dollars than you ever have before. And so don't let lifestyle creep make this money disappear, because now we have a great income. We have a little cushion. We'll get to the debt. We'll be able to cover some things. I want you to live like you're broke college kids again.
Yeah, and set a vision for when you want this done, say, a year or 18 months, and let the fact that you've been on this plan for 10 years and it's not really, you haven't seen the progress you've wanted, let that make you mad and go, this time we are going for it. We are going fast. We're going to knock this out. And it's just for a season, so that after that, you have freedom and you feel peace and it feels great.
Are you willing to sacrifice for 1 year? Or are you going to look up 10 years from now going, well, we're still on the horse trying to make our way to debt freedom. Dude, you guys make $210,000. You have $83 to pay off. This thing is gone in a year, and I want you to do a debt-free scream and call us back and share that story of that fire that got lit under you guys to finally get this thing out of your lives. We're cheering for you, man. This is The Ramsey Show. Our scripture of the day, Psalm 107:9. For he has satisfied the thirsty soul, and the hungry soul he has filled with what is good. Frederick Douglass said, the soul that is within me, no man can degrade. Love that.
That's so good. So, George, walking through the baby steps, it takes patience, right? We've seen so many things out there in the news about crypto and this get-rich-quick kind of culture, but we really want people to follow God's and grandma's ways of doing money. Sometimes, it takes time to do it right, but you're building a lasting foundation. You're building something that's real and that can really carry you throughout life. And I think a lot of people watching the show, they see you on here just crushing it, sharing all this wisdom, but a lot of them don't know your story. They don't know that you have literally walked out these steps in such a powerful way. So I think we'd all love to hear just a little bit more about your journey and kind of what it's looked like.
Yeah, well, Christina, I'm celebrating 10 years as a Ramsey team member, which you're like, this guy looks like he's 14. How is that possible? I'm in my 30s, guys, but thank you. Skincare matters. And so here's the short of it, Christina. I grew up with immigrant parents that immigrated from the Middle East, Egypt and Syria in the 80s to America, and I was born here. So I was a first generation citizen. And so I grew up with kind of seeing them adapt to the American culture. And they did such an incredible job raising us, and they got educations, and, you know, we were the normal kind of middle class family. And I always just thought, like, well, if you're middle class, you stay middle class. Like, you kind of are how you're born, and nothing changes. And I grew up falling for a lot of the same traps. And so when it came time for college, it was, well, we'll figure it out when we get there. Well, we got there, and figuring it out meant we'll just take out student loans and we'll help co-sign. You know, this is what they knew what to do.
Yeah.
And so I ended up going $36,000 into student loan debt. And of course, I opened up the credit card because I was told you got to have the credit score. You got to have the credit history. That's how you're going to live your best financial life. And so I ended up opening up an American Express and a Discover card. And I was weighing the 5% cash back at restaurants this month. And my Sky Miles over here with Delta's American Express card. And all of a sudden I was $4,000 in credit card debt because I was already broke.
Yeah,
I never learned the money principles.
You got totally normal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I grew up with all of this. And in 2013, I got an internship here at Ramsey Solutions, was a temp. And I went through Financial Peace University, and it was like the veil was released. And I was like, oh my gosh, the system is designed to screw you. The whole thing is designed this way. And parents and guidance counselors and teachers, all these well-meaning people just sort of fell for it, and it became normal.
And I think that's important to highlight that when you started here at Ramsey, you were an intern and you were over $40,000 in debt.
Yes, I had a negative net worth of $40,000. And, you know, fast forwarding 10 years, I went from negative net worth to a baby steps millionaire in 10 years. And y'all, I don't come from money. I don't have any rich uncles. Like, I just did the hard work.
I think we need to pause for a second. Y'all, George is a baby steps millionaire. Like, what? In his 30s. That is amazing. Started out with negative $40,000 and in 10 years is a baby steps millionaire.
Thank you.
That's incredible.
It has been a journey, Christina. We did our debt-free scream. My wife and I, we paid off our house back in 2021, and she works here. We met here. Beautiful love story for another time. But meeting someone who's on the same page with the same values, with shared vision and goals, that catapulted us on the journey. And so many people feel stuck because they're not on the same page with their spouse, because they haven't done the hard work of digging in and getting to those roots. But my passion is to help people avoid all of these traps and this toxic money culture that has held so many people back, especially my generation. Mm-hmm. The millennials and now Gen Z, who's feeling screwed by the president and the economy and what the other generations did to them and inflation, and it's impossible to live. And I'm going, guys, you're right. Okay, that can all be true, and it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. And this idea that it's all out of our control, that we can't rise above this system, is malarkey, because I did it. And I'm going, oh, I don't need the credit score. Oh, I can just pay for a car with cash. I can do manual underwriting when it comes to getting a mortgage, and I don't need a credit score to do that. Oh my gosh. And so once you kind of see the underbelly of the system, you can't unsee it. And it makes you want to stay away from it. So I cut up the cards back in 2013, and I never looked back. And in 18 months of doing side hustles, I was doing Uber, Lyft. I had the Nielsen People Meter, which tracked everything I was listening to on radio and TV to make an extra $20. I was stocking up on lean cuisines when they were on sale, 5 for $10, just so that I could create as much margin as I could to get out of debt. And so 18 months later, I got out of consumer debt. Later on in life, met my wife. We bought a house. We saved up a huge down payment and paid it off in 26 months. And so that's my story. And now I just want to shout from the rooftops, it's possible for you too, because I'm not special.
And that's what's so important to realize. There's so many people in our generation, like you said, that just feel like they got the wrong hand, that there's no way that our generation can build wealth. And you did it in 10 years. Mm-hmm. Like, that is just such a shining example for everybody who thinks that it can't be done. And we're not talking, he didn't come here as a personality. He came as an intern. Like, you started and you worked your way up. And I just think that is so incredible and something our generation needs to hear, that it can be done. And even though, like we were talking about patience, it's like when you really zoom out, when you're in it, 10 years feels like a long time.
Oh, yeah.
But when you really look at it, 10 years to go from $40,000 in debt to a baby steps millionaire, that is incredible.
Thank you. Well, I always love this quote. People overestimate what they can accomplish in a year. They underestimate what they can accomplish in a decade. And so it took having a long-term mindset and having a vision beyond what I'm doing this weekend. It was going, where do I want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? When do I want to retire? And I feel the empathy of people going, I don't want to work a job I hate for 60 years just to hopefully retire like I saw my parents. We don't want that for you. That's why Ken Coleman's here to help you move from paycheck to purpose. And that's why we want you to invest early and get out of debt first so you have the margin to do it. But once you realize the system is designed to screw you over, and that if you follow the trends, you're going to fall for the traps, and that normal leads to nowhere, then we can go, okay, so what does it look like to rise above the system? To follow these baby steps and go, all right, we're going to get out of debt because that creates margin. We're going to have an emergency fund because then we don't need the credit card companies and buy now, pay later and all the traps out there and the HELOCs and the 401k loans. We become the bank. And now we have margin to invest 15%. And we still have margin to help our kids go to college debt-free instead of seeing them in the shackles of student loan debt. And then we can pay off the house early. Then we can build wealth and give like no one else.
Oh.
And man, the freedom that comes with that, especially when you're in your 30s and you still have the next 30, 40, 50, 60 years of your life to just build wealth and give and have the freedom, which, by the way, is what everyone out there is after. They want margin, they want options, they want freedom, they want meaning. And the way they think to get there is by following the crowd and following this toxic money culture that says debt is the path, and all the wealthy people I meet, well, they said debt is the way they built their wealth. No, those people are either scheme salesmen with online courses telling you how to get rich quick, or they're entrepreneurs who make millions of dollars. And so them using a credit card does not equal this is what I should do. So for the average person like me who just works a job, gets a salary, this is what you can do. Cut the debt out of your life, use the debit card, have the emergency fund, invest for the future. And I love what Proverbs says about this. Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it. And it's just such a great reminder of delayed gratification and patience and going, you're right, I don't need to get rich quick tomorrow. I can just find a job I love to do and invest for the future and have money to go on vacations and leave an inheritance to my children's children. That's what this whole plan is about. So if you're listening out there and you're going, I don't know if it's possible for me. Listen, I don't care if you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s. If you can fog up a mirror, there is hope for you yet. But it starts with this moment today where you go, I'm not going to keep living the way I've been living. I've got to do some things differently, and I want to leave that legacy.
Yeah. So with all of the temptation, all of these things that are saying that it can't happen, like how do people keep the blinders on and stick with it for the long haul?
Well, you control your inputs. You control the things that are being fed into your brain, whether that's the headlines, your favorite news network, your broke friends, the whole life insurance salesman who is pretending to be your financial advisor. You have control over the voices that speak into your life. And so if you have the wrong ones right now, get you some new ones. Go join a Financial Peace University class, cut the friend out of your life, turn off the news, stop doom scrolling Instagram, and finally get control once and for all and rise above this awful, awful toxic money culture.
So good, George. Such a shining example.
Well, thank you, Christina. It's been an honor hosting with you this hour. Thank you to all the folks in the booth. We got Austin, Ben, James, Connor, Zach, the whole gang's in there. And you, America, we'll be back before you know it right here on The Ramsey Show. Hey, it's George Camel. If you like what you heard in this episode and want to know more about getting started on the Ramsey baby steps, go to RamseySolutions.com and click on the Get Started button. We'll help you figure out the best next step for you based on your specific situation. That's RamseySolutions.com and click Get Started.